Hey guys, welcome back. So thrilled you're here for some more painting fun. Today John is going to show you how to create a winter wonderland utilizing some techniques that he has not gone over with you before. So get your brushes ready and your artistic vibes going. Let's do this.
Here's a list of supplies you will need for painting with tube colors. What I recommend is that you make a copy of these and then take them with you to the art supply store, or you can order them online. Anyway, either way, these would be the best colors to use. And these can be purchased at any art supply store or online. And the top brands include Grumbacher, Winsor & Newton, American Journey, Rembrandt, and Daniel Smith. And then also you will need Misket or Frisket. This is a liquid latex used in watercolors to preserve areas of white paper. They're both the same product under different names. Here is the painting that we're going to do today. It's going to be a snow scene of a barn and an old knockdown fence and some old trees in the snow. As you can see, there's snow flying in the air, and how we're going to produce that is we're going to use some of that Misket that I talked about and splatter onto the paper and then let it dry. Then I'll go ahead and do the painting, and once I finish the painting I will take a piece of rubber cement eraser and erase that off, and then you will have the snow. So here, I'm going to go ahead and show you the drawing. If you would like to copy that off, you can use that and sketch from that. Or if you want to trace it off, you're welcome to do that either way. Or if you want to just sketch it out freehand, you can do that. So now I'm going to take my Misket. As you can see, it's a liquid latex. I'm using an old oil paint brush, a stiff brush, and what I'll do is just splatter it on the paper like this. I don't think that shows up too well on the camera, but it is actually making spots on the paper which will indicate the snow that's flying in the air. Some of that's showing up, I see. So it looks like it's going to be a snowy day in the Ozarks. And what I'll do is blow dry this in just a few minutes here. And then I have to let that be completely dry before I can paint over it and do my painting. That looks like about enough, so I'll go ahead and take this over and dry it with my hair dryer, and then we'll start painting. Now I'm ready to start painting. What I'm going to do first is to cover the entire paper with a light blue-gray, because if I don't do that, when I finish my painting and erase the Misket, it won't show up against the white paper, but it will show up against a light gray background. So let me go ahead and mix up the color. I'm going to use some Payne's Gray and ultramarine blue, about equal amounts. Get that all mixed up real good. And then I will wet the paper down with, what I'm using is a brush that I don't think I had on my list earlier. It's called a Hake. You can buy this at any art supply store. It's a flat brush, but it's great for large washes. So I'll go ahead and wet the paper down now and put that light gray wash over the entire sheet. Okay, now then, I'll slightly tilt the board here and then just paint it on like that, let it run down. See how it evens out as it runs down? Just since it's on wet paper, it just finds it'll even itself out very nicely. And then I will pick up the excess water on the edges so that they won't run back into the painting and cause a bloom. We don't want blooms in our painting. Okay, I'll take this over and dry it real quickly. Then I'll continue on with the painting. Now I'm ready to put the sky in. I'm going to use my Hake again, the large brush. And I'm going to wet this down, the sky region, just the sky area, because that's all I'm concerned about right now is putting the darker blue grays in to the sky area and cutting around that roof line of that old barn. So I want a pretty dark color to start with. And I will start over here and just cut along the edge of that barn like this. Be careful not to get into that snow on the barn because I want to preserve that and keep that as crisp an edge as possible. Like that. Okay, now then, I'll take my large round and put some darker darks against the actual building right here. I want that pretty dark right there because I want that to really make the edge of that roof line show up. See how it runs? And just makes a nice soft pattern there. I'll do the same thing over here, just kind of let it run, kind of make its own way. Like that. That looks pretty nice. I think I'll stop on that for now and dry that, and then we'll be sure to pick up the excess paint again so it doesn't come into the picture plane and mess up something in there. Actually, I think I might go ahead and hit that one more time. Well, I want that very dark, and remember that when watercolor dries, it lightens up about 20%, so you want to keep that in mind when you're doing this, because it looks real dark when you put it on, but then it lightens up somewhat, and then it's not near as dark as you thought it would be when you put it on and it's wet. Okay, now then, I'll go dry that and be right back. Okay, now I'm going to put in a light blue-gray right through here and let it run down and very softly put some tracks in the snow right there, right in this area here. So what I'll do is get that wet right in that area, and right along here I'll get this all wet because I want that to be soft edge when as it dries. So I've got to keep that wet to create those soft edges. With the same brush that I used up above in the sky, I want to use for this soft blue-gray right along here, in the shadows here where the tree is, the trees are, yes. And then just kind of let it run down and just soften as it goes. And then kind of like so and just make a nice soft area in the snow, like ruts that would have snow on top of them. So you'd see an indication of some ruts there, but they'd be very soft. Right up here, I want to lighten that just a little bit, right there. And just let that fade away like that, very gradually. All right, now then, I think I will dry that, and then come back and start putting some trees in. But I think before I do the trees, I'm going to put the dark colors in the barn. I'll take my number 6 round and mix up a burnt sienna and burnt umber together. And put just a little bit of Payne's Gray in with it to darken it. And just come right in like this. Paint right up in that, near the top there, and then as it comes down, I want to lighten it up a little bit, so I'll take some water and just come in with that and just pull that down and lighten it as I come. So it's not just one solid flat color, because that would be boring if it was just didn't have any change in the value. I'll do the same thing down below, the other part of the barn right here. And then just lighten that up again like this. With water, just pull it on down. It'll lighten up automatically because the water weakens the color. See that? If I want to darken that a little bit more, I'll take some phthalo blue and just work a little bit of phthalo blue right into that, up in that area, right underneath the eave, like that. Okay. Let me do something right here. That's not quite what I had in my. Here we go. Now then, I'm going to take my big, large round again, the one that I use for the up in here and down here, and put a little bit of a value in the roof itself, but not very. It won't be very dark at all. Just a little bit of a value change, starting here and working my way over. But as I go across, I'll lighten it somewhat. Like that. Just let it lighten up and just fade away. Like that. Just to add a little more interest to the painting. Now then, I'm going to take this brush right here. It's a number 2 squirrel tail brush. Take some Payne's Gray, mixed with some ultramarine blue, a little bit of burnt umber. I'm going to start right in here. Start working in those trees like that. And then as I do that, I'm going to take some water and just kind of work into that and soften that down in here. Kind of set that in and soften that along there, and see how when I put water on it, it softens everything. So that we have a combination of hard edge, soft edge throughout where the tree is, which just adds more interest to the painting. Okay. Now, while I've got this brush, I think I will come over here on this area, maybe put a tree in right here. Just very carefully drop that in like that. And maybe another one right here, just a little bit lighter in value, so it's not all just the same each time. Maybe put a little bit of, kind of soften that a little bit with some water. Kind of break that up a little bit so it's not just too monotonous. Like that. It's amazing what water can do. We just start working a little bit of water into the dark colors, and it just adds more interest to the work, actually. Now then, I'm going to come down to this lower area where the little fence, part of the fence is standing right here, and just put in some blue-gray there and underneath, and I'm going to soften that a little bit with some water. Like this. You see that? So it's not too stark and hard edged. And then there were some stones in the, or rocks up in here that were kind of under the snow. So I'm going to put those in. But also I'm going to soften those right in there like that. See how I work that in? It sets it into the painting better. It makes it more, look like it fits better. I'll do that. Okay. Now then, I'll take my number 6 round and I will work on that fence down here. I don't want to be too careful with it. I want it to be kind of distressed looking and, you know, like it's been out in the weather for a long time. It's really old and falling down. And see this fence, there's no two posts are standing up straight because it's an old fence and it's been through a lot, you know, a lot of weather and different things. And there will be some rocks down in here. And then I will soften those, set them into the painting like that, which helps tremendously when I do that. Makes them look like they fit in the work. Maybe put a little bit of a shadow underneath this. Kind of make it look like it fits in there. And then underneath right here, but then I'll soften that. I always like to soften those edges somewhat to make them fit into the work better. Now notice there's a little bit of rocks up in here. Just show like they're just peeking through some of the snow where it's laying on there, but then I want to soften that also. It's just a technique that the more you practice, the easier it gets. But it sure does have a good effect in the work. Now over here, I see that I need to come in with some really dark values in this tree. Just not everywhere, but just here and there. Put some more roots in there, you know, just anything to add interest to the work. Okay, there's also a little fence right along here, I see. And that's about enough of that. All right, now I'm going to put a little window up there, and maybe one right there. Just anything to add a little more interest to the work. Okay. I think if I put a little bit of color in, it might help too, just other than just the blues and the grays. So if I were to drop in a little bit of red, could be dried leaves or just anything to add interest to the work. You know, just think I better stop on it before I overdo it. So I'm going to dry this real quick, and then I'm going to take the brisket off and show you how that looks. Now I'm going to take my rubber cement pickup and start erasing. And what it does, it picks up that biscuit and it shows up the snow. You see that? You want to make sure that the painting is dry when you do that, because if it's not dry, you're going to make a great big mess. You don't want that. You see how it just grabs that biscuit and just takes it right off the paper and leaves white snow flying in the air, which adds more interest to the work, you see. And there you have it. An Ozark snow scene, old barn in the snow, somewhere in the Ozarks. One of my favorite subjects to paint is snow. I love painting snow. There's something about it, such a fresh quality that it has. And there you are. Feel free to copy that off and paint it yourself and have fun. Enjoy what you're doing. Watercolors are a lot of fun. See you next time.